Thanks, Khomotso, for the great contribution on the management accounting piece. Good day. My name is Ashlyn, and I will be covering the macroeconomic piece for this presentation. To kick off on the subject, I will give an overview of the monetary and fiscal policies, as well as a diagnosis of the South African economy in terms of the real GDP growth and how all these factors affect the lighthouse shelter. The government uses economic policies to achieve macroeconomic goals such as high and sustainable economic growth, low and stable price inflation, employment, foreign sector stability, and fair income distribution. The health of an economy can be diagnosed by its real GDP growth. In South Africa, the real GDP growth has decreased by 7% in 2020 compared to that of 2019. The South African Reserve Bank's independence has driven good monetary policies that has kept inflation fairly stable within the targeted levels of 3 and 6%. The current unemployment rate in South Africa is 34.4%, which is considered to be extremely high. In 2020, the SARB brought the prime interest rate to a record low of 7%, and it remains this way as of June 2021. The fiscal policy refers to government finances, that is how the government spends its money. This includes income from taxes and bonds issued when the government needs to borrow money. According to Statistics South Africa 2021, the highest unemployment rates are among women, specifically Black South African women. This paints the picture that most women in South Africa are vulnerable and unable to sustain themselves. The current economic environment has impacted the lighthouse shelter in the following way. Studies have shown that the child abandonment rate has spiked since the pandemic started. The number of abandoned babies has raised by 80% during the first lockdown. This again can be traced back to women being vulnerable and also unable to sustain themselves, hence in some cases having to abandon their children because they can't take care of them. Research has also shown that there's a strong correlation between the pandemic and the child abandonment rates. The figure shows the number of children that has been left without the parent as a result of the pandemic in South Africa. This may have led to caregivers being unable to take care of the children and then having to drop them off at shelters or abandon them. The impact on the lighthouse shelter is an increase in the abandonment rate. Since the lighthouse shelter relies heavily on donations, the founder has noted that there has been a decrease in donations since people's livelihoods have been affected by the pandemic. She has been struggling to fund necessities such as food and clothing. Corporate and private donations has reduced, and the prevailing interest rate has led to an increase in expenses. With that, I will hand over to Apiwe, who will be covering the ethics and sustainability piece.